Hello, thank you for joining us once again. You can get an upload of this interaction we're about to have on TV3 Ghana, and it's across social media. We're talking about Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and then also through the handles of 3FM 92.7. Well, we know that it's been a very big subject that has been gaining a lot of traction since the last week, and we're talking about the resurgence as stated by the finance minister of the Agyapa Royalities Deal. But we also do know that before this was taken off the back burner as far as the discussion table was the last time around, the civil society groupings we had in our country had opposed vehemently not only the nature and form, but also the deal in total. But we also do have one big critic of this government. And we're talking about a senior vice president for Imani Africa, but also a lawyer, a policy analyst, a consultant, and Kofi Bentil is our guest today. And thank you for joining us, Mr. Bentil. You take a look at all that has transpired. You have to say that, look, Agyapa in whatever shape and form should be accepted. Which one will be more acceptable to you in that shape and form?
So the question is if it has to be brought back. The fundamental problem that civil society has with Agyapa is about the propriety, whether we need to do that at all. And I see the finance minister trying to shift that argument and try and say, well, it's a good thing, maybe the structure is not good, so maybe we need to look at again at the structure. That has been how they've played things in the past. The recent one being e-levy, and then they power through, and nobody cares even if there are fisticuffs and all kinds of things are happening. The stress that we all go through and everything, nobody cares. It's just about we are going to do it whether you like it or not. That is wrong. That is very bad. If you have a society where reason does not make change, if you have a society where when you sit in a room of intelligent people, you put your argument across and those people don't buy it and they can give you a good enough reason why what you are doing is wrong, you should not power through simply because you have political power. That is how regimes get overthrown. A democracy is not the rule of any one person, not even the president. Of course, we've given him authority to do certain things, okay? But if you take the specific issue of Agyapa, for instance, the president holds in trust the natural resources of this country for the people. So it is not his property, it's not the property of the government. So it's not like we will do it whether you like it or not. Look, you need to get to the point where you come along with the people. So our issue with Agyapa is not the form and shape it is taken. It is the propriety. Must this be done at all or not? And I've always challenged them that nobody has been able to explain to a room of intelligent people that this country needs to do Agyapa. And I still challenge them to do so. And the last time the minister talked about it, he didn't explain why we needed to do it. He just said, well, we need to look at the form and the shape and maybe look at it, but it's not like we shouldn't do it if it's a good thing. What makes Agyapa a good thing? Now, let me tell you in very simple terms why Agyapa is a terrible idea, and we've called it robbery. In the past 5 years, we have made in excess of $600 million. And I'm being very conservative because in one of the years we made 400 million. We have made in excess of 600 million, almost $1 billion, the past 5 years from mineral royalties alone. Royalties alone. Now, this is royalties. Royalties means it is money that will be paid to you as a fraction of the mineral extracted. Let me just take a minute to explain some things. When you are part of the mining, you have shares in the mining firm, they declare profit before you get some. All right? And they never declare profit in this country. I don't have time to go into the history of AGC and everything. They never declare profit, or at least they don't declare enough profit. And then when you are talking about corporate taxes and things, which is also another source of revenue from mining that government gets, it comes from the profits that have been declared. So if they are not declaring profits, your taxes are going to be low. But when it comes to royalties, it is a fraction of how much they extract. In other words, mineral royalties are the safest income stream from minerals. And over our history as a mining country, we have come to the point where we've lost all our shareholding. And that's a whole argument we can go into. Some of us thought it didn't make sense anymore. But we have retained the royalties because it is our land. In other words, this is the last we are left with as a country. And this is the safest and surest source of income from all the gold, etc., that we are mining. Somebody says he's going to take that money and go and speculate with it. He's going to try and invest it in some weird arrangement which we can't understand, put it in another country's control. We don't know the directors. And those directors are going to determine whether we make money or not and how much. Why would you take the safest stream of mineral revenue and then go and plunge it back into speculation?
I do understand that there's supposed to be a special purpose vehicle, of course, going to be incorporated. The last time around, we're told that in a tax haven, but of course, this time around, perhaps the government would want to be more transparent in terms of the directorship, etc. That should be more appealing and make it more acceptable, wouldn't you say?
I'm not sure you understand what you're saying. You are reading what they've told all of us, but here's the point. The fundamental question is, why do we need to do Agyapa? If we are making an average of $300 million every year, safe, what will Agyapa do to make that better? Are we better off risking the safest source of mineral revenue we have? Are we? Tell me, why do we have to do Agyapa? Why?
You look at what has transpired over the last quarter. We've had the inflationary trend upwards, and so it's affected prices of basic goods and services. And also you look at the interest rate that we have to pay for the number of loans, bonds, etc. we've taken over the period. Look, this is going to be good money, funded coming in for us to plug loopholes. We should have no trouble accepting this at all, whether as civil society or media or the general public.
Agyapa cannot be a significant income stream to plug the loopholes we have. We are in debt to the tune of tens of billions of dollars. Agyapa gives us 300 million averagely a year. Now, the present government is seeking to sell our mineral royalties in perpetuity. That is the extent of this Agyapa deal. Whatever they put on it, when we get to the details, we can deal with it in perpetuity. And they are asking for 500 million upfront. Even if that goes to $1 billion, it is still not significant enough to plug those crazy holes that we have built for ourselves by racking up terrible debt over the past 5 years. Things like Get Fund, okay? We built some of those things up to take care of education. We did NHIS, take care of health. Now you have ESLA, take care of energy, all those things. This government has collateralized all of that, taken the money up front, spent it, so basically compromise the potential of future governments to raise revenue. On top of that, we have racked debt after debt after debt, okay? And then we end up in a pandemic like COVID. Now, COVID is not the cause of our problem. COVID worsens our problem. We were on this trajectory before COVID. And my problem with the managers of the economy is that they manage this economy as if there will never be any crisis, as if nothing will happen. You spend everything into the future as if all things are going to be equal, like the economists say. But we all know that things are not equal. So COVID hits us and we're in trouble. And even COVID that brings us the trouble, there's so much corruption around COVID spending. We've racked up all kinds of debt around COVID spending. So wherever you look, it is just terrible management of the economy. What we have seen being done in terms of economic management in the past 5 years is collateralization, front-loading money, spending it, and leaving future governments without a stream of income. And the mineral royalties is the next. We've heard about the heritage fund. It's just everything that can be collateralized is being collateralized, okay? And we are spending the money up front. And what do we have to show for all of that?
One of the big criticism was that there was no proper valuation the last time around. If we had adequate valuation of our mineral resources and the royalties in themselves being done before we put a peg on what royalties there are that could come in, whether now or the future, then we know that we're making a head start. And that also could get your buy-in.
So I'll honestly tell you that if we had a proper valuation of our mineral wealth and we had an honest and objective valuation of what the royalties are worth in a certain, period, okay, it will not be such a bad idea to use this to make all that money upfront if we are going to invest that money, not spend it. Invest that money to bring us more than the royalties would have given us. In other words, if we are making an average of 300 million every year, but we can front load the present value of the money going forward, and we make, let's say, 2 billion, and we can invest the 2 billion in some, maybe a gold refinery or some investment that will make us 400 million every year. That makes sense. But you cannot take a 300 million average stream and invest it, and going forward you get less than the 300 million. Just doesn't make any sense. So honestly, if we can get that, that will be a proposition. But let me tell you why that is not a good proposition. It is not a good proposition because there are very few avenues for investing that guaranteed stream of money in a way that gives you more money than the guaranteed stream. In other words, you are better off holding on to that, because tomorrow will bring its problems and you will need that money. So don't compromise that money. Like I said, you don't run an economy, not even your house, as if there will be never a crisis or there are not going to be any challenges that will hit you, that will require you to maybe borrow money or something. So if there is any chance for you to make a certain stream of money in the future, you don't compromise that, except you can do it in such a way that you are guaranteed that stream plus a certain outcome from what you are going to do today. So we all understand collateralization. We all understand the present value of money. We all understand all those things that are being done. But the point we are making is that we are not getting value for money for all that collateralization. And in the particular case of Agyapa, our mineral resources are being undersold to people we don't know, and it's being put in a place where we don't have any control. And it is in perpetuity for as long as the mines have a useful life. And many mines are going to come on stream. If somebody wanted to steal our national heritage, this would be a perfect plan to use. So I don't see why anybody can do that, especially when they cannot explain how we are going to benefit from this. Agyapa is robbery. Whoever is going to get the ownership of Agyapa is robbing this country of what God gave us, by which we can survive. Even in the times of bad governance, that money will be assured.
What about stakeholder consultation? If you were consulted better, civil society, the generality of Ghanaians, the key stakeholders within the various facets or sectors of our country, it should make it more appealing for the mineral royalties deal to be brought back again in a well-structured manner for which the bigger objectives could be achieved, wouldn't you say?
The president says we should not be spectators, we should be citizens. And those of us who speak out, we speak out because we've elected to be citizens. Okay? Many people have a choice. That's why you have dual citizens. We can just get up, give up on the country, and move out. But somehow we need to preserve what this country is for our children and for posterity. And I assure you, Ghana is a great place. If we can just do things right, it's a great place. So, when we have leaders, and the leaders necessarily by virtue of their mandate must come along with us in making some of these decisions, and they put up these ideas, it is for those of us who are citizens to take a hard look at them. We all have day jobs, okay, and we can focus on our day jobs like most people do, okay, but some of us, for some reason, we take good time to go into details about some of the things that our presidents and our leaders are proposing to do, because in the past they have just run things down, and the promise of this country has never been realized. Never been realized. We just stay at potential and never realize our promise. God has been good to us. This country has never suffered a civil war. And part of that is because certain people in the society continue to speak up. So some of the people who get frustrated and take guns and shoot feel like their ideas or their views are being articulated. And so hopefully maybe there will be a reason. So if we shut all these things down by leaders coming and not talking to anybody, they don't consult, not even their own ministers and, people in government, because some of them come and tell us that then they brought this to us. Oh, yes. Okay. And then when we find ways to get to know what is going on and we blow it up, then they come and try and pacify everybody by saying, okay, we are going to have some consultations here and there. They call 1, 2, 3 meetings. And in all of the meetings, they will tell you that, well, we intend to do it anyway, regardless of what you think. And what you are complaining about is just the structure of it and whatever it is. So maybe we'll see whether we'll change the structure. So e-levy is moved from 1.7 to 1.5 or whatever it is. They throw some tokens your way and they let you know clearly that we don't care what you think, we are going to do it anyway. The more that happens, the more we risk the state. As a Commonwealth, as you know, we are all part of this country. If the country broke, we are broke. If the country collapses, we all have to go and find other countries. Okay, whatever happens, we feel part of this. Okay, we are not saying don't do it. We are simply saying if clearly you are not able to explain and convince your peers and colleagues that this is the right thing to do, knowing that you hold it in trust for these people, then please hold on. After all, that 300 million is going to come every year. And whoever is in government will manage with it. So the issue is, treat us as citizens, not as slaves. Treat us as people who are together with you trying to make this thing work. It's not like you are doing something great and we are stopping you. We are saying it is our common wealth. And it is not any one person's property. It is not for government. It is for all of us.
Just a day or two ago, I know that for the last 3 days you'd been commenting a lot on the Agyapa deal, but just about a day ago you posted this on your timeline on Facebook. You said this economy is in a mess. There's no way to spin that. You end that with an exclamation mark. We all know what that means in literature. Our leaders have spent future earnings and taxes, another exclamation mark. We are sinking in debt, another one. What they have to do is find ways to fix the mess, not to do more of the same. That's the definition of insanity. Why do you say that? Of course, we know the difficulties we're going through, but look, for all the things that we've had allusions made to the crisis we got ourselves involved in worldwide, also roped in COVID, and just recently the current crisis between Russia and Ukraine accounted for many of our troubles, if not all of them.
So Russia and Ukraine do not account for all the difficulties we are having today. The numbers are there, it's easy. Okay? Before COVID, we were heading in a certain direction. Our debt was unsustainable. Before COVID, we were beyond HIPIC levels of debt. The levels of debt we had, by which President Kufuor sent this country into HIPIC, we had exceeded them. That was before COVID. And we're heading a certain trajectory, and people were already raising red flags before COVID. COVID just made our life worse. So yes, it has had some sort of effect in making things worse, but clearly we were on the path anyway. Now, after COVID, a number of things have been suggested, nothing has been done. Let's be clear about that. After COVID, we have not had any serious action to restore this economy. The proposals that have come out include things like Agyapa and a number of others that we are seeing, which is more of the same. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. That's the point I was trying to make. So if doing this has brought us to this point, how do you suggest to me that doing the same thing is going to take us out? And we are expecting that our managers would manage in a way that gives us confidence. The management today doesn't give us confidence. We are going from bad to worse. Tell me what is not going bad right now. Fuel prices, people are on strike. We have a cycle like that. It tends to happen, okay? But we've had COVID, and COVID is really making things worse. We agree on that. But that is why you have good managers and bad managers, and you have managers who are very good. In times of crisis, the quality of leadership is revealed. We are in some sort of crisis, and the leadership indicators show us that there is no solution on the horizon, because the solutions being proposed happen to be the same things that sent us into the problem. So I worry, and I'm looking for something different.
So what do we do? Do we reshuffle the team, have a new people put in some of the new places as well, do a reshuffle of the cabinet?
Definitely. I don't remember in my lifetime, at least in the Fourth Republic, that we have gone this long without a major cabinet reshuffle. I don't remember it. And under the circumstance where the performance is clearly not sterling, I don't know why the president insists that he's going to keep the same team. I don't know why, but that is his prerogative. Okay, of course, we'll have a say in the next 4 years. Okay. I also have to say that I haven't seen much in terms of viable alternatives from any other quarter, whether it be the opposition parties or not. I haven't. So I'm still looking for a good solution. A solution might come from within the present government. It's possible a different team from within the present government can put out compelling suggestions that will make some of us interested in maybe saying maybe we should move into that space. But of course, we have other parties. The CPP is there, the NDC is there, there are a number of, we don't have that many options, but we have not seen or heard compelling alternatives to what we have. And that really makes it a difficult situation for Ghanaians. Okay, and we have a bit of time. Maybe whether from within or from outside the ruling government, we may get some solutions. But clearly, ultimately, it will be the people's prerogative to choose whether to continue with this government or another one. And I hope it's not just about changing. By all means, we'll have to change. The present government has come to an end. We'll have to change governments, whether within or without. And I wish we would not just change governments for the sake of changing and then end up in the same situation or worse. I hope that some of these others who are looking from within or without to replace the current government will come up with good ideas that will make us say, okay, I've never voted for you, but this time I'm going to vote for you. Or even though this government has not done what I thought it would do, I still think I have to go with this team. Okay, so we need those compelling ideas, and I hope they will be forthcoming.
We've had 16 days of implementation of e-levy. You got to find that, well, after the initial brouhaha, we seem to have now seen a certain calm after the storm. Well, we can interpret that to mean that all of us are on board. We love e-levy. Or is it just that people are just quiet and decided to go about their normal business despite the upheavals?
Of course, it was clear that they were determined to go ahead, and they went ahead. You can't fight forever. You will just make different decisions. And fortunately for e-levy, the decision people have made is that they will avoid it as much as they can. But if you cannot avoid it, well, it catches you and then you get on with it. I mean, we did the analysis of e-levy and we said that we are going to have a V curve. It's going to come down, but it's going to go back up again. And the reason why it's going to go back up is that the things that drive electronic transactions are, one, cost and convenience. Cost, because if you're going to take a vehicle to go from A to B just to give somebody money, no matter how high e-levy is, it's going to be cheaper. And then the convenience. You're going to have to be in traffic, this traffic of Accra, and all the things. So whichever way you look at it, cost and convenience will make it necessary for people to use electronic transfer mechanisms. So people have just resigned to do it, and they are going to avoid it as much as possible. But if they cannot, they are going to just hold their nose and pay, and then we get through it. The other problem with e-levy, which is the real problem, is that you put people on a negative edge. Okay? It's like saying, well, we are doing it because you are forcing us to do it. People hate you for it. There are times when you pay a tax and you're like, okay, I know I'm paying for a good cause. Okay, it's not the way people feel about e-levy. And today, I offered to pay somebody, and he says, I was going to pay the charges today. He says, no, don't send it to me. He drove here and picked up his money. People just are upset with it. Okay, so it is not that kind of thing where people feel like I'm paying towards a good cause or whatever it is. So yes, e-levy will experience the V curve. It will go down, but it will go up again. The bigger problem is it is not going to solve our problems. We have blown through $10 billion. $1 billion is not going to solve our problems. So we really need to get down and do the hard work that we need to do in terms of cutting unnecessary expenditure.
And what should we be doing to cut down on our expenses? Which line items on the budget, for example, should we be taking a look at?
We have all kinds of new institutions. Now we formed the Mineral Investment Fund. We had the Ghana Infrastructure something. This government keeps forming all kinds of bodies to pursue special projects. And each time they'll be staffed with people who are highly paid. Okay, you have SOE, state-owned enterprises, who are making a series of millions of dollars of losses. We still have a government with over 100 ministers. I mean, why? Okay, and that is beyond these things we can control. There are other things that we should be able to control. We have 275 members of parliament. No country like Ghana needs that. Okay, and we have this huge, expensive, non-performing government. Okay, and all of us are having to pay for that. Okay, those are the things we need to take a look at. At first, when this e-levy discussion was raging, some of us said we need to see the government cut down and see the government do some of the things they're asking people to do. And in the beginning, we were told no. Ultimately, they agreed that yes, they have to cut down a bit and that kind of thing. And they did a few token things here and there. And one of the things they did was say they were going to cut fuel allowances down by a certain fraction. And that fraction alone was going to save us 60 million cedis a month. And I asked myself, really? So just this small fraction that you're going to take off fuel allowances for people is going to save this country 60 million cedis a month. That's significant. It tells you how much waste there is in the system. I'm not saying people should not be giving fuel, okay, but all of us have seen V8s running in the sun. Okay, so there's a lot we can cut down. Our government is too large, it's too expensive, and it's non-performing. The state is too large, too expensive, and non-performing. And we keep creating new bodies, and we put people there and pay them fantastic sums of money, and there's nothing to show for it. We need to get a handle on the expenditure within government. That first, and then we can move on to other things.
I remember vividly, you were involved in, that activity, Occupy the Flagstaff House. After we had a group coming from that movement, what was it? Well, subsequently. And you have a number of your friends too as well in government. You haven't been asked to come and serve in any capacity at all, or it's just that you're not interested?
No, I'm not interested. I led a couple of them, but that discussion is not necessary. But I'm here. I haven't taken any position. I'm still doing the same thing, fighting for what we believe in. People have a right, to take positions. It doesn't really change where they stand. Of course, it may change, a few things here and there because you can be fighting something you're part of. But I absolutely believe in their sincerity for the most part. And yes, I'm an example that not everybody was there just looking for a job. And I urge everybody who is public-minded, to speak up. I mean, let me tell you, these are my friends in government. I mean, these are people I trust and I believe. And there are people still in government that I absolutely have faith in. Okay, but a government is not one person, not even two people or a few people. Okay, it's a whole machinery. Okay, and so even though I will be critical of what is going on with this government, I can assure you that there are people in this government that I have absolute faith in. And I'm hoping that they'll be able to speak up and give us a better alternative. So yes, some of my friends have gone into government. Some of them are part of the system. They are still my friends. We still have very heated arguments, and we still stand for what we believe in. I can assure you that some of them also believe in what they are doing, but it is what it is. I mean, I just think that as citizens, we will make sure that if things are going wrong, we will speak up, even if it's our friends that are in government.
Thank you for speaking to us. And we've been having this great interaction with Senior Vice President with Imani Africa, but also a legal practitioner, a policy analyst, a consultant, and look, helping us shape opinions, conversations, policy direction in our country. And he's, I have to say, a man I've admired, a man of principle, stayed on the course throughout. Yeah, and we're talking about Kofi Bentil. You can also find him on his social media handles. He's very active there. And if you just want to know, just go search for Kofi Bentil, especially on Facebook, Twitter, you get to find him. But talking about all that, you can also have an upload of this. We're talking about TV3 Ghana on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And then also for the handles of 92.7. That'll be it for now. Thank you for joining us.